I just heard the funniest, coolest thing. This was hilarious. Uh, so somebody somewhere was laughing and reminiscing about how somebody had mentioned that Dubai would give me a Sephora card, like it changes what they've done to butcher Khashoggi and murder me and shit, and rape my death and shit, and abuse my death. And you have no idea how many things they are guilty of. But of course, like all things, they're never going to tell the truth. But so I was like, yeah, you're going to give me a Sephora card, and God's not going to kill you forever. Yeah, I don't think so. But I think every God will trash your country, kill your soul forever, find out what comes beyond third world countries and worse, and throw the Sephora card at your fuck you face as you die like fuck. But I don't think anything else. That's gross. But, criminals are like, so I'm going to buy a toy after I child abuse? Die and rot. Seriously. But a God said something so hilarious and so funny right now. A God was like, we should all make a bunch of badass vehicles and just drive over Dubai so goddamn proud at the worst of their death ever known. Because you have to remember, these countries are going to die worse than anything in existence has ever died in front of everyone for what they've done. So they're planning to, have goddesses, gods, angels just drive and cruise on by a country that would butcher Khashoggi. And instead of throwing, flowers out of the car, don't even ask what they were talking about shoving out of the car. And it's great to have gods on a rampage. It really is. I mean, you guys, the end of the world is scary. It's overwhelming. You really should think or say, my queen, my queen, my queen. Be just well educated so that the scary aspects of life just don't have anything to do with good people. But some guy, and he's not a god. He's like a really powerful spiritual giant. So I don't know what to say except guy. This guy was like, you made me want to cry when you said I'll throw Khashoggi's favorite baby toy all over your death as I walk out and say fuck you in the name of God. And I'd like to prepare a lot of fuck yous from God to everyone too. Busting heads and taking numbers when you're walking with gods is pretty scary stuff. Fighting demons, fighting countries that get corrupt and out of control is really, it's overwhelming stuff. And at some point when I knew the country was doing this to me, I knew only God could change things. Or my disabled, dumb self finally getting on my own 2 feet. But this is scary, but fun, if you like feisty. But if you don't like feisty, I, once again, would really recommend you guys just think or say, my queen, my queen, my queen. And always make sure you check in with gods. And that gods are going to watch over you. And you'll be safe. And nothing will ever happen to you guys out there that's bad, when you're good people that have waited all this time to meet real gods and enjoy what good people should have at the end of the world. While the bad people, just could not commit enough crime, and now they have really bad things coming against them. Life is a sad, scary place. Nothing will ever get better. And, like I said, forever. Before you even think twice, they didn't have to do it. Nobody wanted to know them. And if somebody was being nice to them or being stupid or being weird, they could have just been normal people and approached it like normal, appropriate people. But they rape and they murder and they're gross and just wanted to be gross down to every last category. If you want to know all their secrets, just think or say, my queen, my queen, my queen. They'll show you how Khashoggi died. It was the most horrifying, unthinkable reality ever known. They mastered killing me and more, and they're scary at how good they have learned to make death such a suffering, horrifying, terrible place. Because when you murder a lot and you're a country or the mafia, you get really good at the ins and outs of murder, because just like any murder, it's a sick, disgusting addiction or problem. So, I don't know. Some people like the barbaric side of life. Some people just really don't. So, I like to just promote that most people just want to be safe. That's why they're good people. They don't want to be bad people, because bad people open up bad options, like Adam and Eve. Eve wanted to be bitchy and grouchy. When Adam and Eve looked at that tree, what they saw was just whatever they want. That's bad. So Eve saw grouchy bitchy. I want to be grouchy and bitchy when I'm in the mood. And God had made Adam and Eve to understand no bad. So when they picked the fruit, they let bad in. And it led, being grouchy and bitchy leads to wanting to smack your husband, kick your husband, throw a rock at your husband. And then one day, Cain and Abel, and on and on and on. And now Eve, she has to pay for all those souls and all that crime, and it's horrifying. And you don't want to know this, and this is kind of sad, but when you mess with a Ouija board and you didn't pray for the gods to keep everything safe, you don't know what kind of spiritual things bad devils have been doing all along, because you opened a bad portal or doorway when you touched a Ouija board. So your family might die, but the neighbor might die, but someone in a different planet might die. Like bad karma. When you make bad karma, it might affect somebody in another planet that has a car accident. And you have to be responsible for those choices of doing bad things and bringing bad things into life forever that you had no right to bring, right? But I'll help you guys. This is not God's fault. Before I got to earth, I said, you look at me wrong and I'll kill you forever. And I don't mean anything else. When I got to earth, I said, you look at me wrong and I'll kill you forever. And I don't mean anything else. And I proved to the whole world that I'm above all gods. So once again, I said, don't ever look at me or I'll kill you. And I didn't tell anything else to earth ever. Don't scratch the statue of Jesus. I understand it's tempting to be disgusting. Run and understand it's the end of the world.